I spent years obsessed with a single flawed hypothesis that I could save my way to financial freedom. I tracked every dollar, I cut back on everything, and I would stare at my savings account, watching it creep up painfully slow, like a thermometer inching towards some magic number that was supposed to set me free. But my hypothesis was completely, fundamentally dead wrong. You see, I was only playing defense. And when you're only playing defense, you're just crawling toward a finish line that somehow keeps getting farther away. I had to learn the hard way that saving leads to security. Maybe, but it is not the path to freedom. Building something? Now that is. Entrepreneurship is offense. And now it's the only game that I find that's worth playing. Welcome, class, to Wealth Creation College. I am Gino V, and I'll be your professor for this new curriculum on achieving financial freedom. We're all taught the same deeply flawed lesson plan, right? Go to school, get a good job, max out your 401k, and then 40 or 50 years later, you get to live a little. They call it the American dream. Honestly, it feels more like a life sentence with parole at 65. And listen, I wasn't just a student of that old curriculum, okay? I was the star pupil. I had my Lean Six Sigma black belt and master black belt by 21. I was a staff engineer at a major defense contractor, General Dynamics, by 22. And by 23, I was a director at a billion-dollar cannabis company. On paper, I was acing a test that didn't matter. My wealth wasn't growing. It was just accumulating. It was static. And when you do the actual math, the data is brutal. You need $2.5 million after tax. The moment I stared at that number, it was like a failing grade slapped me in the face. I realized saving my salary, even a great one, was a road to nowhere. At least nowhere I wanted to be anytime soon. That was the turning point. That's when I quit thinking like an employee and started thinking like a builder. I shifted my entire focus from saving money to creating value. This video is the new playbook. This isn't theory from some dusty textbook. This is the field guide that got me out of the corporate fast lane and onto the entrepreneurial superhighway by the time I was 28. I'm going to break down the 5 steps that changed everything so you can build a business that doesn't just make you money, but buys you a life of real freedom. Step number 1, the mindset shift from scarcity to creation. The first and most critical step is a psychological one. It all happens right here in your mind. My old mindset was a dissertation on scarcity. I was obsessed with what I couldn't spend, what I needed to cut, and how I could protect the little pile of money I was building. You're always in a defensive crouch, and let me tell you, you cannot conduct an orchestra from a crouch. Entrepreneurship demands the exact opposite, a mindset of creation and abundance. It's about seeing problems not as annoyances, but as opportunities in disguise. It's about realizing your income isn't limited by a salary. It's limited only by the value you can create for others. This was a paradigm shift for me. I used to see an issue in an industry and think, ugh, that's so broken. After the shift, I saw the same problem and thought, I wonder what the market price is for a solution to this. I wonder how much they'd pay. My breakthrough came when I stopped seeing my job as my source of income and started seeing myself as the source. My skills in process improvement, my slightly too intense engineering brain, my guts to take calculated risks. That was the asset. A job is just one way to monetize that asset. A business is another, with a truly uncapped upside. Now, this isn't a lecture on recklessness. It's about seeing that the traditional path has its own huge risk. The risk of wasting your life waiting for a freedom that arrives too late. The real journey begins when you decide to bet on yourself. Section 2, build your foundation the right way. Okay, so once your mind is right, you need a plan. Too many people think entrepreneurship is just have a big idea and then jump. But passion without a plan is a hobby, and hobbies, as fun as they are, don't lead to financial freedom. You have to be deliberate. The goal isn't build yourself a new job with you as the boss. That's just a fancier cage where you hold the keys. The goal is to build a scalable system that grows with or without you. This starts with a rock solid financial plan. The process obsessed engineer in me, the guy who lived and breathed Lean Six Sigma, knows you don't build anything without a blueprint. Before I launched my business at 26, I wrote a business plan. It wasn't some 100-page doctoral thesis, but it forced me to answer the hard questions. Who's my customer? How will I reach them? What are my startup costs? And what are my real revenue targets? This plan is your roadmap. It ensures you're making decisions based on data, not just gut feelings. Next, a lecture on debt. Forget what some gurus scream about. Debt isn't inherently evil. It's a tool. And if used correctly, it's a powerful one. I had to take on debt to get my business launched. The key was being strategic. I only borrowed what I knew I had a clear path to repay. I shopped for the absolute best terms, and I had a plan to eliminate that debt with extreme prejudice. It's about using leverage intelligently, not drowning in liabilities. Your foundation has to be solid, built on a clear plan and smart financial moves. It's not the glamorous part of this curriculum, I know, but it's what keeps you in the game. Section 3, fail fast, fail soft. Okay, here's where most students get paralyzed, the fear of failure. In the corporate world, failure is a dirty word. It's a black mark on your permanent record. But in entrepreneurship, failure is just data. It's tuition you pay for the education of a lifetime. The trick is to adopt the mantra of every great innovator. Fail fast, fail soft. Failing fast is the scientific method for business. You don't spend a year and your life savings building something nobody wants. You get an idea, you create a minimum viable product, or an MVP, the simplest possible version of it, and you get it in front of the real customers immediately. You test, you learn, you iterate. Or you kill the hypothesis and move on quickly. The goal isn't to be right the first time. It's to find out if you're right as cheaply and as quickly as possible. Then there's failing soft. This means your risk management protocol. It means structuring your experiments so that when one blows up in the lab, it doesn't take the whole building out with it. It's about making small, calculated bets, not wagering the entire endowment on a single unproven idea. Before I went all in, I ran some small-scale trials. I took on a few consulting projects on the side to validate that companies would actually pay me for my process optimization skills. The stakes were low. If it hadn't worked, the downside was tiny, but the data was priceless. This approach turns catastrophic fear into a manageable, repeatable process for finding what works. Okay? Pay attention, class, because section number 4 is the growth engine, reinvest and leverage. So, your business is finally generating real profit. Congratulations. Now comes the biggest test, taking that cash and immediately upgrading your lifestyle. The new car, the bigger house, it's all incredibly tempting, but the smartest founders know those early profits aren't for spending. They're fuel for your growth engine. One of the biggest advantages an entrepreneur has is the power to reinvest profit back into the business, often before the government gets its slice. It's a bit of a financial cheat code. An employee earns $1, pays tax on it, then saves what's left. An entrepreneur can earn $1, reinvest it into marketing, better equipment, or hiring talent to grow the business's value, and often lower or delay the tax bill. It's an incredible wealth building mechanism you simply don't have with a 9-to-5. Coming from high-paying corporate jobs, the urge to upgrade my life with those first profits was real. Case in point, I'll never forget hitting my first profit goal. Instead of taking a huge bonus, I plowed nearly all of it back into the company, investing in better tech and a strategic marketing campaign. That single decision probably accelerated my growth by 2 years. This is also about investing in yourself. Always be learning, upgrading your skills. And, critically, it's about leveraging other people. Don't be your own lawyer or accountant. Assemble your own faculty of advisors. Hiring the pros, like a great CPA and a financial advisor, helped me lock down my tax strategy and make smarter, longer-term moves. Reinvesting in your business, yourself, and your team is what separates a business that flatlines from one that scales into a wealth-generating machine. All right, section 5, class. The final step, designing your freedom. This is the capstone project. The point of all of this isn't a giant pile of money. The point is the freedom that money creates. It's about having options. It's the freedom to design your own day, to work on projects you actually care about, to spend real, uninterrupted time with people you love, and to make an impact. For me, after a decade of sprinting up the corporate ladder, The I made it moment wasn't a promotion or a number in a bank account. It was the first time I took a month-long solo vacation to Japan, mostly because I'm a huge nerd, but also because I knew the systems and the team I built were running the business and growing it without me. That is what real freedom looks like. It's the moment your thesis is proven. You finally have a business that serves your life instead of a life that serves your business. This journey is about security, sure, but it's really about creating a life of choice, a life lived on your terms. It's not just about building wealth for you, it's about creating value for your customers, your team, and your community. The path is hard, it's filled with risks and long nights, but the reward? It's everything. You go from being a passenger in your financial life to being the pilot, with your hands firmly on the controls. So, let me ask the class, are you ready to switch from playing defense to offense? If this lecture resonated with you, if you're tired of slowly saving for a future that feels a lifetime away, do me a favor and enroll in the Wealth Creation College by hitting that subscribe button and turn on notifications so that you don't miss the next lesson. Now, for your first assignment, I genuinely want to hear from you. In the comments below, tell me, what is the single biggest fear or obstacle holding you back from starting your own thing? I read as many as I can, and I'd love to help where I can. And for extra credit, if you want to go deeper on getting your mind right for the journey, check out my video on how the young are working to own nothing. All right, let's do a quick recap of today's lesson plan. 1. Shift your mindset from scarcity to creation. 2. Build a solid foundation with a real plan and blueprint. 3. Fail fast and fail soft, turning failure from a fear into your most powerful data collection tool. 4. Use your profits as fuel to reinvest and grow. And 5. Be intentional about designing the freedom you actually want. The old path of just saving money is safe, I guess, but it's slow and it's limiting. Entrepreneurship is the vehicle to hit escape velocity. It's not easy, but it's the most powerful tool I know for taking control of your financial destiny and building a life by design, not by default. Class dismissed. Now go build something.